Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Saginaw Valley State University Esports. We got one more for you guys. We lied. We have a third, fourth place match for Overwatch here tonight. I am Aquatic, joined by my fellow caster.
Hello again. I am Sword of Thunder. Here again for a wonderful night of streaming. A bit of a later start, but that's okay. We're running into this first map here, Antarctic Peninsula. SVSU versus the Doane Tigers.
Doane Tigers at repping a little bit of school spirit there with the name from the tank player from Doane. I love it. I love it. Very in theme with the school. Casting that's gonna be fun. I'm excited.
Absolutely. Peak nameplays all around. Doane and Brarg. We do see here Doane running out here with the Junkrat for some early spam damage. Very good on this part of Antarctic Peninsula. There's a lot of small chokes, very useful for being able to just spam those very high damaging grenades. Makes it very oppressing for people to get in without any form of speed or mobility. We see them kind of sandwiching the Saginaw Valley here with a Tracer up on the flank. Vidi unfortunately going down very quickly to a lot of just sustained damage that he was just unable to be healed through.
That's kind of going to be how the map plays, though. Projectiles are, they're not hit scans, so you have to, predict where the other person's going, and they balance that out by giving them a little more damage. But when there's just a hallway, you can just throw the projectiles and do a bunch of damage for free. It kind of mitigates that balancing factor. So you see between Sojourn, whose shots are projectile, as well as the Junkrat. Oh, what a shot! Speaking of projectile. Just gonna do a lot of damage. That's probably why we're seeing these picks here. But bit of a sustained fight back and forth. Neither team really getting the full upper hand. Doane is a little bit better. They have the point ticking up, obviously. Almost a back cap there from Saginaw. They get the Junkrat on point. Tank has to drop. Taking a bunch of damage, though, as well. Vidi joins the Junkrat on point, taking down and will actually end up flipping the point there.
Absolutely, getting a lot of some early damage there off onto the Juno, especially getting just forcing them to play out of position and out of line of sight from their supports. Just gave Saginaw Valley a lot of advantage to really just get a lot of crucial damage in. Junkrat having a lot of spam damage is good, but also having the ability to just one tap with a concussive mine followed up by a primary fire just makes it really hard for the Tracer to get back there into a close duel against a Junkrat. If it does, you see what would happen. They get one tap comboed. We see them kind of duking out on the high ground, just trying to maintain control of that high ground is very crucial for this one. We see Tracer from Doane trying to get a quick little back tap here, dodging on the main pillar to kind of just ease off the Junkrat spam. But it's into the trap and
the death mines into the trap. That's crazy. The Ramatra ult up top, though, is going to take out a couple of players from Saginaw. They're going to have to back up despite getting that trade on point. That was a fun duel to watch.
Absolutely.
Doane's just doing such a great job of keeping the tank up just a little bit further. Not halfway, but slightly into Saginaw's territory, so they really can't get a foothold into the choke point. They're pushed back into the room. They can't get that step in. Exactly. They might have to go around to the side. That's what I'm thinking.
But there's also the issue with going up to the side though is that you're all forced low ground potential, and with these high grounds, when you're facing down an Ana, a Juno, Sojourn, it becomes kind of difficult. The Ana just gets a lot of value. We hear Saginaw's tire coming out. Will it pick anyone? It picks the Tracer, but however, the Doane retaliates with a Nano, kind of holding his own. Doane's tank holding on against the Nano Ramatra ult. Kind of just forcing Vidi out of being able to use that in a much more aggressive fashion, just kind of forcing the tank trade. Saginaw does cap the point. We are looking at Saginaw trying to reclaim some space here, trying to force them into Doane into the same position they were being forced into, kind of forcing them into the room, forcing them to the tight corridors. Somewhere that's going to be a bit more advantageous for Saginaw if the Junkrat's up there with them. Otherwise, the Junkrat, I don't know, the Junkrat being back kind of makes sense in a way because you're able to hold multiple different chokeholds when you have information where they are. At the same time, it kind of just makes it a bit harder because you're a projectile hero again. You have to gauge your shots. We see the ult dump here. Oh my goodness, that's real from Doane. Overclock, Annihilate, and Juno ult. Followed up by honestly, I'm surprised Saginaw lasted as long as they did.
Annihilate cleaning up the rest of the ults there. Saginaw invested a few. We saw the Tracer Bomb at the start from Doane. They ended up just having a couple more, and they're going to get this point. I can't imagine Saginaw's going to be able to make it back in time. A couple of hero swaps to get back to the point faster. But he's going over to the tank. We see Bojiden on the Sombra. We'll see if they can even get the touch. Nope, Sombra will be there to at least trigger the overtime. Maybe get a little damage off on the Tracer. See if Saginaw can pull something together here. One more fight is all that they need. Seems a couple of them getting back onto point, but Reggie goes down early. Saginaw's in a rough spot. They do have the BAP window getting a little extra damage, but there goes Zippy. Bojiden trying to hold on as long as possible. Down goes Shadow. Down goes Sombra. Down goes Tank.
Yeah, that is round 1 for Doane on this first map. Honestly, though, both teams are playing really well here, playing very, very crucially again into how the map plays. And Antarctic's one of those brawly maps that I'm much not of a fan of because it equally goes into, like, you could just set up a sniper on one of the corners and you can literally just pick off the brawl and just not be afraid of it. And so that's what they're doing. They have an Ana on the backside. They have like the higher, like the Junos, the Anas that take advantage of really long sightlines that just be able to just kind of just sit in the back, be away from the damage, but still provide insane amounts of value. Honestly, we do see here Zippy transferring from Baptiste over onto Ana, trying to again kind of take more advantage of this points being incredibly open. In contrast to the other one where there's a lot of walls, a lot of cover, this one is just a giant pit ready for you to brawl on with a little bit of high ground off to either side. We see Bojiden here going off to the side, getting some early hacking of just health packs, making sure that there's always somewhere that's safe for him to respond to. We see him going after the Ana. The Ana is kind of alone though. We see him pull out the sleep, which is kind of crucial for later in the fight. No nade either. That's getting some insane value here, even if he's not picking up a KO.
Bojiden takes away so much attention there. That's such a valuable resource. While you're looking at the Sombra in the backline, the rest of the team is picking people off. Reggie finds one, Sombra finds another. Doane's going to be down 2, and that Sombra flank gets a lot of value right at the start.
Exactly, and just the amount of value he's gotten, forcing out the Ana away, meant there's a lot of early chip damage onto the tank that was kind of like, you forced the Juno had to take her 3 people on her own, something that Juno can't really do outside of Fall Stars. And once you spot that the first time, you don't have it again. So it really just like enabled Saginaw to become really aggressive. We not as nearly as afraid of the Tracer that was coming at them, especially with the Cassidy having the stun nade, just be able for the hinder, just not even allowing them to really move or take a lot of aggressive value. Forcing them to play a lot more spread out instead of the very crucially very bunched up like brawl they had the previous map. Again, we do see Sombra out here trying to just take some value, get a health back, just be a counteractive flanking force to the Tracer. Who can split the attention most up here is probably who wins the fight.
That's a good way of putting it. Both of these teams have some solid mid to long range poke, and both have one flanker, and that attention is going to be critical. If you can take the resources, especially like especially nade, that's such a huge part of the Ramattra duel, is who can land the nade and force the other Ramattra onto the back foot behind their shield. And if you, as the Sombra or Tracer, can take that away, it's over. The hack, a little bit of extra damage. Tracer's gonna have to use a bunch of resources to get out.
Yep, we see the cast coming out with the high noon. Doesn't force anyone into, like, it doesn't get any aliens, but force them into really bad positioning lines. Forces them into bad lines of sight. We see him kind of just duking it out with the Sojourn over a bit of a longer range, trying to pick up kills where they can. We see the Nano Brar go in, getting the 2K. Kind of just cleaning up that fight. Kind of just, again, honestly though, this is kind of almost a good deal. They basically just traded 3 ults for 2. They traded Tracer Bomb and a dual Nano Annihilate. So this honestly isn't terrible for Saginaw. They have some very good comeback potential here. You have EMB online. You have Orbital Strike. I'm gonna call it, even though I know that's not the name.
What is the name of that ultimate?
Orbital Ray, I think. It's Orbital something. We see the EMP come out, getting lots of value, taking an early KO on the Sojourn, translocating out real quick, coming back to fight the Tracer, forces out the recall. Again, just taking a lot of that attention. The Tracer can't come in and pick off any supports or force the supports and like actually have to look toward the Tracer. It really just let Saginaw again just come in, get some really clean sweeps, KOs here.
Doane still up in percent. They have 82% of the point. Well, Saginaw's just taking up to halfway now, so Saginaw will minimum have to win, I'd say, 2 fights to get this to happen.
Definitely 2. I feel like if they lose 1, it's almost game over. We see the orbital come out, trying to sustain him through the anti.
Ooh,
we see the pick up though from Pulsar. That 3 for Saginaw from only 1 ultimate. This is kind of huge, and it pulled out Doane's orbital as well. This is huge for Saginaw. This really drastically hinders Doane's ability to come back, to not have a support ult immediately online. Especially as Saginaw's taking up to just past the 3/4 mark. This is going to be a race for Ana to get Nano and for a massive play to happen.
You can get the pulse bomb at the start for Doane. That's going to be a massive win condition. It's going to be get the pulse bomb and get the overclock, the Sojourn ult, into a solid position. If you can get one of those 2 things, you have a solid chance of winning this fight.
And we see the overclock. Honestly, it's not any immediate value. We see that Ramatra hacked. We see the Reaper. Reaper Blossom picks 1.
It splits the tank off from the healers, and it's going to be so much damage on point as Doane tries to keep everybody alive. Sombra in the backline. Down goes Guardian. Really tough spot for Doane. They might be able to hang on with Bugle finding
There's
1.
no nade though. No one sleeps on Ana. It is a Ramatra duel on point, but SVSU has the health meter, has the health resources much better. We see an last minute EMP come out, just making sure that Reaper cannot have abilities to touch point. That is objective 2 for Saginaw.
We're seeing this trend here. If you pay a lot of attention, you watch these streams, most teams, when they see an ult from the other side, immediately use the same ult if they have the same character. Especially if the Ramatra ults and the Juno ults, as soon as you see those big playmaking ults go out, you simply cannot afford to let them run rampant. You have to have an answer. And what better answer than the same ult? It simply lets the 2 teams remain on equal footing and not let the others get a handle. Because, I mean, outside of a crazy, sleep dart or, these certain big, high-impact abilities, the only thing that can counter most ults is another ult.
Exactly.
And we'll see that be the trend most of the time, and it's going to be who can get the ult while the other team doesn't. That's going to be what really, differentiates ult economy and ult usage.
Exactly, and again, we're seeing here, we see Saginaw Valley kind of resorting, instead of the more conventional brawl DPS, kind of resorting to much more flanking types, the Reaper, or Sombra, trying to just, again, pull attention away from the supports. And you see the Sombra here, dueling the Tracer, means that Doane's Tracer can't be on Saginaw's backline, keeps their own safe by forcing out the flanker. You see Reaper trying to contest the point, living on 6 and a dream into the TP.
No way!
Oh my god!
How does that survive? How does that work?
Peak gameplay from Reggie, honestly. Cannot complain.
What an escape! Kind of insane.
Well, we see a lot of early damage on this Ramatra. This is kind of big for Saginaw. There's a lot, they're forcing Doane back. We see Reaper here, just kind of making sure to getting it into those flanking positions, trying to get value where he can. Picks up a KO on the Ana. Really big onto the Soldier, actually. There's no supports for Doane. This definitely seems like a 1 fight for Saginaw almost. But we do see Brar coming out with the Annihilate again, picking up a KO on Zippy, forcing Vidi, I think, to kind of use his own Annihilate to kind of guarantee that he has arms again to be able to contest the ulting Ramatra. The Saginaw does manage to cap it after Doane's F at 42. Kind of a backpedal situation for Saginaw almost, how well Doane managed to hold that despite having no supports, honestly. I don't know. The ult economy is not terrible either. We see 3 online for Doane almost, or roughly at that 80% line. We see 4 from Saginaw. So despite, especially Vidi, who just popped his ultimate not too long ago, already at 94.
Ooh, I sense an EMP.
Waiting for the call. Into the EMP.
Finds 2.
Finds 2.
Oh,
Reggie managed to wraith out?
Oh, the Juno movement is
no
clean,
Juno,
but not quite enough. Keeps everybody down.
Oh my gosh, they're just trading backline. They're trading backline, something that you see a lot of happening. We see the major perk from Sombra coming out, healing the Ramatra as
healing Sombra.
Honestly though, it's not terrible.
It's not bad. It's really not bad.
Despite what people dunked on whenever his first real lead, it's actually not terrible.
It's also so fun. It's so fun to just, if you like the supportive playstyle, if you you like Tracer, but it's a little aggressive. You like to be a little bit more supportive, and you go to Sombra, and you know you can hack the other teams. But this really is like, hey, I'm the supportive DPS.
Yeah, and it's also really useful too because when you have downtime and there's like say there's a lower HP tank right now, like you can just quickly heal him. It's not like a problem, and it's got to reduce cooldown.
And you can farm the EMP. One of the most impactful. Oh, so much damage. The sleep to keep everybody alive, but it won't quite keep them through. Vidian Shadow Find 2.
Exactly. That sleep came out just too long there for the Ana to react with that sleep. It really just meant that the Ramattra could not manage to sustain out with the block through the anti-nade, and having no front line there combined with a shotgun character and a Sombra in the back line just makes it really hard for Doane to be able to come back. It is kind of just you kind of have to run to the point now. See if you can try to touch even a little bit. They do manage to touch, coming in with both teams using their orbital.
Staying alive, just zippy with the Ana ults. Can't get it out before going down. We will have EMP online.
No, it did go out, but it did not trigger, unfortunately. So it is just a canceled ultimate for Saginaw. We see. Oh, Juno outrunning the Ramattra, which is actually huge because it just pulled him so far away from the point. It's just Tracer holding the point down.
That hack went insane. Bojiden finds the hack and the virus.
Again, Bojiden following up with his name, being the Pogment player that he is, being able to not only manage that hack through a blinking Tracer, but also hit the virus to guarantee the KO. It means that there's no point from Doane to be able to recontest, to even stall it out, even a microsecond more. And that is map 1 for Saginaw Valley.
What a fantastic map 1. Trading back and forth, going to 2-1, go to the third map there. We're in for a good one, and that's 1 out of potentially 7. We're here for a best of 7 tonight, actually, instead of the best of 5. So we have lots of Overwatch, minimum of 4 games.
They really need to figure out who is truly the number 3.
They gotta figure it out. They gotta figure it out. So that was control point. That's, you know, there's just the 1 point in the middle that they fight over. And next, I can never keep it straight. Where are we going?
It is hybrid or escort. I believe the winner picks? Or no, loser picks, winner bans, loser picks map.
Yes. That makes sense.
It's something of that dichotomy.
So we'll see. Maybe one of them is like winner ban, like escort or hybrid or something.
No, one of them picks which type of map, and then the other one bans, and then whoever picked the type picks the map.
We'll see where we go. We always hold out for Kings Row. We always try. We always try our best. Sure. We'll take a quick sec here. This is going to be a bit of a potentially a long night, so we'll take some breaks so our voices don't die and we get to keep casting. We'll be back in just a sec. Stay tuned. Oh, we're live. This is fantastic. Welcome back, everybody. It's been decided we are going to Circuit Royale. What is this map like? Fill us in, Reggie. We've seen it before. For those who are new, maybe from the other team, we didn't say hi to Doane, by the way. If any of you guys are here, thank you so much for tuning in. Fantastic to have you guys here. Good luck, have fun. We didn't mention that at the start. What is this map like? What are we looking for?
We are looking at probably a Widow Duel start, if any prior experience from this map has taught us. It is very much so a poke-oriented map. They have, since its initial release, to have added a lot more cover on some areas. Crucially, second point, the ramps going up did not have a lot of cover. The second ramp did, but the first one was very minimal. So it was kind of a, if you could find those picks, you kind of just had your fun.
Yeah.
And the other team didn't.
Yeah. But with some reworks, especially as Sword mentioned in that second and first point, there's a couple more flank routes, a couple more bits of cover we can see on the side. There's some more of these panels.
And the panels are taller.
The panels are tall. That's good, yes. There's a whole flank route on the side. You can see a window to the upper right as we go by. There's the room just beneath the camera here. The defenders can't get to this high ground on the left. New stuff, great stuff. Keeps the map fresh. I will say, I don't think they've had a miss yet. I think every rework has been more positive changes than negative. And I'll stand by that statement.
The only one I would argue with is maybe Hog. But Hog's rework didn't even...
The maps, just the maps.
Oh, maps in general?
The maps. I think each map that they've changed, each has been overall good. Oh, okay, we said poke, but the only other, like, kind of thing you could run, because Brawl is a little too slow, you could try to go real fast. And we're seeing this right off the rip from Doane. They're doing a dive comp. You see the Winston jumping into the backline, might be joined by the Genji and the Kiriko. Really fast, just jump on you before you can get all your shots off. Crispy, though, finding a couple. Reggie holding off. The tank keeping at bay. So this is going to be the push and pull. This is, if you watch us doing Smash Bros., this is the equivalent. Saginaw playing like, a projectile, like Min, a sortie, and Saginaw or Doane is playing like a rushdown, like Captain Falcon or Fox. So the goal for Doane here is just to jump on the back line and kill them before they can get sniped.
Exactly, and they're trying to they're mixing it up a little bit by including Bastion in this, which is not considered typically a dive hero, but doing it just mainly to take care of the tank here from Saginaw. And we do see, unfortunately, that Crispy did get taken out by his own headshot.
The reflex headshot into the Widow is one of the highest skilled things you can do as a Genji. What a play.
Reggie with the fake out on the dash, though. He hit the dash, immediately popped, immediately did the jump tech, and came back just to fake the Genji on a dual false sense of security and stick around despite being discorded.
And then you get punched.
We see here, though, Vinny being able to substantially take care of this front line on his own, not really being too worried about the Bastion. This high ground here gives him a bit more variability and a lot more space for him to be able to contain himself safely. We see here the Sigma does hit that hit the rock on, and again he kind of taking out Winston's support here as on the dive, kind of just forcing Doane into kind of a much more foot off the gas position. You really have to take this off. He's forcing. I can't speak currently, I guess.
It's one of those nights. We're both there.
Yeah, Sigma honestly is just keeping them really far at bay, forcing them to play really slow. Because if they ever try to push uncoordinated, he's just gonna punish with a rock to the. He's just gonna punish the rock to the dome.
Rock to the dome. That's another one on the Genji. A reason that ability is so useful into Genji is because Genji cannot reflect it. Or if he dashes through it, I think he gets hit as well.
Yeah, if he dashes through it, he can't deflect it. It is just a guaranteed you are falling flat on your butt.
And that is the one time, if you can't move as Genji, it's not a good one.
Exactly. We see Viddy here hitting level 3 for perks, getting that ability for him to just levitate off by holding the jump, giving him access to lots of high ground, which is honestly a very underrated perk, it feels like.
Especially on this map, because you can retreat up to the high ground. It's so useful. Going up in the air, gonna get a lot of damage on the way down. Does the Ana go down? Yes. But in a rough spot, will get taken down with some focused fire. This is where Doane can make the play. They have the nano on the Winston, also the ult, a couple other ults online. And we'll see that's going to come to fruition. They're going to get the car forward.
Genji didn't get anyone played, oddly enough. It just kind of just went unnoticed. We see Crispy hitting a quick little headshot onto the Winston, getting, honestly, as a frontline Widow, getting insane amounts of value. All things considered. We see Winston jumping into the back line as Sigma's still able to kind of hold on into the node, but can't even withstand the whole force of a Kutsune rush.
Oh, Crispy staying alive through with the Baptiste window. The immortality's keeping him up. Here comes the Bastion ult from Doane. It's gonna separate up Sagan a little bit, cause some problems. Crispy has enough time to find one on the Guardian, though. Down goes Vidi with the rock. Oh no, the grenade from Bastion. The 2 DPS cleaning up the rest there.
Doane does make it through the first point right before the overtime spawn kicked in. See, as we see by it just hitting the 2-minute 30 mark, the time, which is the time gamed for capping first point on escorts. Taking a very forward position here on dive, which is typically what you want, especially because you don't want poke at all to be able to get through setup freely. Oh, that's a dirty headshot.
Ouch. He's gonna find the one there, staying on the Widow. Sometimes teams will switch off the Widow once they get past the first point, but continuing with that pick, this high ground can be brutal. If you can't get past this high ground, the Widow still dominates. Especially with all the support, you know, the 2 healers, you can see the damage. Baptiste is so good at staying back and poking, as well Zen. That's just a whole another DPS there to sit back and poke. Sagna really leaning into the playstyle, not making it easy for Doane to jump in here. Bastion trying to poke from afar, take a little extra room. Widow ult's gonna just keep everybody honest, not let the Winston get any weird flanks. Vidi staying on that low ground, getting plenty of damage. A little bit of reflect back and forth. Not too much. This is the poking, but this is exactly what Sagna wants. This slow little poking duel where nothing happens. Doane's got to speed something up. They got to get something together and push in. Here's going to be the Winston and the Genji diving into the back line, creating all that space. Vidi's going to be left alone for a second in the front line. Will be manage to stay alive. The overclock might just get a whole bunch of damage, though. Gonna be in a tough position, although it kind of stabilizes. Doane's got the card. Sagna's backed up. Ult into the back line. Sigma going to trade out with Winston. He brings out the Zen ult. That's absolutely massive for Doane.
Exactly. The Genji falls here, not able to pick up anyone. As Orbital comes out from Juno into the Primal, Doane having to pump a lot of resources into this. Still, it doesn't seem like it's entirely guaranteed. You having full health Vidi sitting there with the Zen Orb on him, presumably. Just being able to hold back, does he touch?
Just the touch of the last possible second, trying to find the kill onto the Bastion. The only chance is going to be able to find a couple of kills. You can't try to target everything. Oh, the Bastion's going to give a lot of health to Vidi, using the blade just to clean up that fight. I think Saginaw takes that, though.
Yeah, Saginaw definitely takes the forcing out the ult for just a suck that still would have had him dead to rights anyways. Very huge for Saginaw, honestly. We see the heal. Back to Overwatch 1 Bastion.
It's back. That's probably the most joyous part of the perks, is seeing these things that you missed that, you know, were changed a while ago come back. I love it. It makes me so happy.
Exactly. We do. Again, we're seeing back into this poking duel. Just high ground versus high ground. You've got the back high ground being held by Saginaw, the much more forward one by Doane. Crispy getting a good clean pick off onto the why can't I think Bastion? Reggie taking out Pylon. Honestly, this is definitely like in Saginaw's favor, especially because there's no one on point at the moment. Like they're forcing everyone away from this like corner of the corridor because that's the Widow camping ground, and the Winston like is out of line of sight and not in an area with a lot of health packs, unfortunately. And so you're kind of just like, you have to sit there wait for the passive to heal you. Meaning it still plays in the Saginaw's value of like, I want this slow. I want this like really nice controlled fight instead of something that I have to panic and make sure I'm hitting the like first thing like I see.
Guardian keeping everybody alive and finding a couple of kills of their own. Crispy's gonna be the last one to go down. Saginaw's in a rough spot. They don't have anyone. I don't even think they'll be able to trigger overtime as Doane pushes the cart. Yeah, Doomfist just a touch at the last second. But probably won't. There is no BAP window.
The BAP window? Can he clutch? Oh, we see Reggie get a pick.
Wait, there's still somebody on. There we go. There it goes down. Although we'll get all the way to 0, so there won't be any extra time if this goes to the tiebreaker.
Exactly. That forces them to, should this go 3-3, that only gives them a singular minute to be able to get as far as they can.
What do you think went well there for Doane? Where did they find their value, Sword?
I feel like definitely as soon as they got off the first point, they stuck with that dive, knowing how good it is for second and third, being able to instantly take away a lot of space. Those high grounds for second and third, especially right here, that's coming up shortly, is this little like curve in the bend here around the two ramps. That's very, very crucial for a lot of poke comps to just sit there and take a lot of good value. So being able, like especially on the second point, being able to just jump up there instantly and take out all of that value is huge for Doane. And the same goes for third point. You've got that back area, you just jump onto the back area that forces the attention away.
Without a shadow of a doubt, the Winston jumping in the back line and taking all 4 non-tank members of Saginaw, all of their attention away, leaving Vidi on the front line, it's just such a brutal thing. And it's Winston with that bubble, with that high HP pool, can just stick there for a solid like 3, 4, 5 seconds. And for that entire time, all of the pressure is off the rest of the team for Doane. Granted, the Monkey will have to back up and get some heals, but that tempo is so critical for getting Doane in place. They are going to switch over to a bit more of a poke comp. Saginaw's going to stay on their poke comp, so now we get to see the back and forth. Now we get to see the sniper ditto, or the duel that Sword was talking about. A little extra damage right at the start there onto the tank. I think that's an underrated part of Widow. The picks onto the squishies are nice, but being able to chunk like 300 HP off a tank can go really hard.
Yeah, that's very crucial. Just having a lot of big burst damage versus the healers that don't have a lot of instant, like, equally as big healing amounts. It just means that it always puts the healers at a deficit. It forces a little more attention to the tank, which means as a Widow, you can just go headshot a squishy real quick, and you're not gonna have to worry about like a Suzo coming out or a Baptiste lamp.
Yeah, that's a fantastic point. Taking away the support for the teammates as well with your picks. Saginaw getting a couple of picks at the start there. Down went the tank right at the start, and kind of can just slowly push forward. We're not gonna see massive big team fights for the most part. It'll be a team getting a pick or two and then being able to slowly walk forward as the other team slowly backs up. Won't be too fast, but it will be precise. It will be still a good watch. I quite enjoy watching the poke comps go at it. Especially at this level, where you get to see all the little mechanical things. Kills coming out. Oh, from Doane. And will force Saginaw back. But got it most of the way. Just under 4 meters left.
Yeah, getting such an insane first push is very helpful for Saginaw. Means it gives them, like, with the remaining time on the clock, it means that there's less space for them to have to really fight back for. It basically, instead of having to fight maybe 2 fights, like it would if it was at the start, it's just 1. Because after you win that first fight, you can just force them around the corner again and kneecap it for relatively minimal costs. We do see though that as ults come more online, that SVSU is kind of in the ult game lead almost, having Widow ult relatively already online, Baptiste window already online, and coming up on Overclock and Gravitic Flux. A very crucial ult, I feel like, for Saginaw is just being able to pull everyone up into the air into a very consistent spot for Widow just go dink, 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 and just hit those headshots.
The window is going to be an absolutely massive threat. It doubles all damage that goes through it. You cannot peek this thing or else you'll get 1 shot to the body. Absolutely insane. Baptiste, that's the power of Widow ult right there. If you peek, you are instantly getting shot. Vidi finds some. Mule going down, most of Doane going down. And we see the slow push forward as Saginaw gets this point.
Yeah, I personally like Doane's pick of Iari here. Kind of an underrated support, I feel like, in most situations, just because she's not nearly as strong as she quite used to be. They did a lot of tuning to make sure the turret wasn't nearly as cranked out on the numbers as it was. But even still, especially on circuit, there's a lot of like little nooks and crannies you can put in. Ooh, Crispy coming out with guns blazing.
That headshot was per se crispy. We'll be here all night.
We'll be here all night. The comedy won't be.
It will not get any better. It will not get any better. I won't win.
Now we get to see the play. Can you hit the rock? Can't quite, but the Zenyatta ult to keep everybody alive here. We're going to see a couple ults back and forth. The ults are running out for Saginaw. We're going to see how Doane shoots back. It got eaten. Iliari ult gets eaten, but the Bastion ult puts Saginaw on the back foot with a couple of nice plays. They're back in the fight. Vidi back and forth. Both tanks getting really low here. Still no more ults online. Crispy finds one onto the Bastion. Vidi's still in the front line, but there's the window in the back. Don't take advantage of it. Not quite. They do find the one onto Crispy, but Saturn just rotates around and hits it from the side. Lots of damage back and forth, back and forth. Biddy got another Flux in there? Huh?
No, it was Stone that went off the first Flux.
Are you, oh, it was Doane. It was Doane. I was about, that was an insane alt charge. Holy.
It's like Overwatch 1 ult rotations
Yeah.
with the what was it, minute and a half shatter world record or something like that. We do see here Viddy taking a lot of forward pressure, trying to again force him away from some of these like closer high grounds and forcing him into a bit more back-facing position, back-footed position. Iari almost getting kind of caught out there, but Viddy on Sigma is I'm noticing he's very crucial about how well he uses his health as a resource. Like, he just uses it as if it's almost another like little shield, because he knows that he's never face-taking the Bastion, and if he is, he has to have the Suck online, because the Suck just shuts down the entirety of turn 4. And so, like, his cooldown rotation is very massive. We see the lamp coming out really early. No pylon either. Reggie picking up two KOs through overclock alone.
No. Doubles the damage there. So most abilities are, don't one-shot unless it's a headshot. Outside of like 1 or 2 examples, it doesn't have. But through a window that doubles damage, you can hit some insane one-shots. Like Junkrat can one-shot in certain circumstances.
We see have SVSU.
Oh, the C9.
Yeah, I don't know if it was entirely C9 though. We had SVSU there. Not only did Sigma grab the point, but also we had the Zenyatta Transcendence come out,
yeah.
which kind of made it to where if you touched the point, you were never trading and you were always dying. So
You were just losing, yeah.
And so it was kind of a solved fight almost for Sagan, if you want to put it that way, where they had the pieces they needed to just kind of guarantee to win the fight, and they managed to stagger them all like far enough during the last fight where they weren't coming all at once to give like a one final hurrah, one final push. So it kind of just made it to where like, especially because the Sigma was still alive, away split off from the team, so it's not like they could just come out the doors guns blazing.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think I'm definitely gonna see the same thing that we saw round 1 here. Doane's gonna go back to the dive comp that they really liked. See the Winston again. Which again, that got so much value that first time. Diving in and taking all that attention. That should work similarly this time. Although the rest of the DPS, and this is much more so the case in Overwatch 2, you can kind of split what you do a little bit more. It kind of works out that you can have some people poking, some people diving, kind of supporting from the back line versus actually getting in there. It was not the case in Overwatch 1. Everyone poked, or everyone dived, or everyone brawled. A little bit different now. We almost saw Hazard for a second. When we saw hovering, that would have been interesting. The newest tank to the game. But I imagine most of the players are kind of tired of it. It was the only thing you could play for a minute. Could not play any other character.
Yeah. Kind of going into this though, we see a very crucial first pick from Doane here, getting Reggie on the Sojourn, forcing out a lot of cooldowns from Baptiste.
Ooh. Just 2 shurikens to clean up that kill were fantastic from Mule.
Absolutely. Mule and the Brar taking a lot of very good space here for Doane, being able to guarantee some cart pushage here, forcing 3 on cart, just making sure that they can get as far as possible for as much speeding the cart as fast as possible for as long as possible is going to be crucial here during overtime, as they don't get any extra time for capping on points. Ooh, we see Bastion does go down though.
Crispy finds 1, keeping the tank up there. Gets the bubble, cuts off a bit of space. Although the Discord there onto the tank, and just these sightlines are going to be too much to deal with. You can see Doane is kind of on the back foot. They have to hold from the room, not really hold from positions they want. Reggie finds 1. You see the Sigma Flux up in the back line, finds the kill onto Sparrow. Not too much left that they can do. There's the speed ring to keep things moving, but without anything other than the Winston ult, can't quite find the damage that they need. And Sagan will get it. Take down the first point, or take down Doane before they can cap that first point there. And again, Saginaw, because they capped all 3 points faster, they will have a lot more time in this overtime. They'll have over 3.5 minutes to get just further than Doane got.
Yeah. Which is very crucial in overtime, because 1 minute's pretty much a team fight, especially in Overwatch 1.
One team fight.
It kind of just is. Like, you can skirmish a little bit here, like at the beginning and end points, but it's a lot of just you get one fight and you need to have someone on point because you're going to need overtime if you need to have a second one. Which is why you saw there, it was basically just the Genji and the Winston just kind of frontlining, trying to keep Saginaw at bay. But honestly though, keeping them at bay just made it easier for Saginaw to get set up there and just have Widow in that one spot to become dominating almost. So it's kind of almost like a bad thing for them to have done that, because it's like it's a screwed if you do, screwed if you don't kind of situation. You don't, they set up there for free. They wait for you to come around the corner because they know that within 3 minutes there is a likelihood for them to be able to get up there. Like they can have confidence because of the 3-minute timer. They don't have to be as crunched for time as Doane was. So it's like if you don't push, they're setting up for free, and you just wait it out. You do force them back. Well, now they get to set up for free because you can't contest them because it's a 2v5.
Yeah, it's the flexibility that comes into play. With it, like that low time makes you just have to do that one thing. We almost also saw the hazard didn't quite. Seeing the dive on defense from Doane, as well as the Life Weaver, that's going to be really interesting. I believe they're going to use that so they can try to pull these people off of the risky lines that they're on. Sparrow finds one on a Crispy in the backline. They're going for a flank early with the Life Weaver to help pull them out. Interesting play. I really like it. Although Mule's going to take a lot of damage, have to use some utility. Getting a little bit more. Yeah, they have to come deal with this side room here.
Forcing out all the Tracer cooldowns though is kind of big for Saginaw because it means Mule has to wait a significant amount of time before it can go into the Widow again. We do see though Mule getting a lot of value out of this Tracer. It means that Crispy cannot be as dominating as he was previously. And plus, it's also good for the Zenyatta. Zen is a very relatively defenseless support. He doesn't have a lot of self-heal, a lot of like self-sustain. Until we see the balls chrome down the Tracer.
The kick, there it is. But already taking down a full minute of Saginaw's time. They do get the card all the way here, but it was a very slow push. They'll have at least a solid 2-team fight. But if they can't, oh no, that's just cleaned up. All the damage flows in there, and Saginaw finds the kills that they need.
Yeah, again, this seems like very much like a situation of like Doane doing something that in the moment is like understandable, and then you look back on it, retrospectively, like there's things that would like by doing this you've made things worse. The main one that I've noticed that right at the end was the Sojourn had the perk where if you hit someone directly with the little spear that she throws, it follows, it sticks to them. And so by pulling the Winston into the Life Weaver, it just made the Life Weaver easier to kill. Yeah. Which was a little unfortunate.
Your own worst enemy. Oh, that's funny. That's the beauty of the game. You know, this is quote unquote a first-person shooter, but it's really as much a MOBA or a board game as anything else. And those plays and interactions are just as important. Map 2 here going to Saginaw as well. They're going to be up 2-0. They only have to win 2 more games to Doane's 4. I think we'll take another break here as they get set up. What's the next one that we go to? Isn't it Flashpoint / Push?
It is
for 4.
It is just Push.
Just Push.
It is just Push. It is Push for map 3, Flashpoint for map 4 because they took out Clash because no one liked it. Brutally honest, no one liked playing Clash in a competitive setting because it is just snowballed the game.
I like to be optimistic. I do. But, yeah, it was a little silly. So we'll have those 4 game modes that we'll be bouncing around between. Stay tuned. We still have a lot more. Both games going to like that overtime or map 3 there. Still plenty left to go. It's a good night of Overwatch. We'll be back in just a second. Stay tuned. Stay tuned. Welcome back for map 3 here. Push going to Coliseo, featuring no glass. For those who are who haven't been around very much, this is one of the reworked maps, and the glass that separated these two sides here in the middle is gone. So you can kind of weave between these two areas now. And man, oh man, is the Overwatch community happy. There were celebratory videos on YouTube and rejoicing in lobbies. It's been great.
Yeah,
It's been great.
infamously, this Overwatch even used a clip from one of Spot's streams where he's like, "The glass!"
The glass! That was used in an official like trailer for the game, wasn't it?
Yes, for like when they flew all the content creators out to the Blizzard HQ to like show off season 14.
That's so silly.
Hopping into this
I
though,
love it.
we do see very identical comps here. We see the Junker Queen Lucio from both sides being followed up with the kind of similar supports in a sense of just I shoot in a general direction and you will be healed.
Yeah.
Kiri and Mora. We kind of just see like a very much so rush. It's very good for Coliseo. Literally let me just run in at you, and you're forced to deal with me now.
It's Brawl but fast. So, hey, that one weakness of Brawl, of being too slow, it's not a problem here. The Queen shouting the Lucio together gives you so much speed, gives you so much versatility at the cost of just a little survivability. You can kind of just get in the backline, but both teams have that, so this should be a very brawly, very fast kind of game. We can see that right at the start. It's bouncing around different parts of the map. Kill in the backline is going to be huge. Finds a couple of big swings and big shots right at the start, as well as the kill. There's the knife. Queen is such a fun character to watch at the high level here. Both of these two players are, oh my gosh, I love watching people who are good at Junker Queen. It's so satisfying. Oh my gosh. Ooh! There's always that moment where you just don't breathe when you see somebody on 1 HP in this game.
Yeah, it's just the collective of do they live, do they die? The suspense.
It's really the horror game.
We do see though SVSU taking a very crucial lots of space here. Coliseo is very condensed for a push map, which makes it good because you can always contest at every point of the push of the run of the robot tanks, because it overlaps itself a lot. You've got this entire oversection here where it just loops around itself. We see SVSU Junker Queen coming out with the carnage here. Lots of targets, lots of cleavage. That came out weird.
Yep, that is the name of the swing. That's the name of the art.
Oh yes, I am aware.
Yep, no, for those at home, the cleaving of the axe. Yep, okay,
Yes.
we're good. Move on. I'm being told to move on. Okay.
We're tired.
It's just one of those days, man. It's
Yep.
just one of those days. Moving on. Sorry, Phil. Sorry.
Yeah. We do see though that Doane did manage to push SVSU back, kind of forcing a hard reset, coming back to main. We're having a moment. We see the Sombra getting a hack onto the
The EMP
even.
finds absolutely everybody. There's gonna be a kill right at the start. People low on HP, being seen through walls. Yeah, really brutal. What a huge EMP from Doane.
Exactly. Coming in, forcing a lot of people either out or just straight into kill territory for Junker Queen, coming in with a cleave right afterwards. Kind of forcing Doane back again. You see Doane trying to claw back here, using that blade, trying to get some backline damage, backline support here. Biddy picking up one on the Junker Queen. Living barely, getting lots of healing from their passive. As we see Crispy coming out with the blade, picking up one. I think this goes to Saginaw again. I think Saginaw got enough of the pieces down to force Doane into a regrouping stage. We see Mora trying to just contest the bot, hold it back. So it can't touch there and get the full respawn for Saginaw.
Interesting spot that they're in here. Still, the tank's still on the way back. So they still have to hold everybody off. It's always weird when the tanks are the last ones to get back to the fight. Both teams, all the squishies with no HP are just looking at each other with no front line.
Exactly, and especially at this level, you don't pick the deathmatch because it's a matter of who tank gets here first. And if you're on the enemy side of the field, it's always going to be the enemy tank.
Yeah.
We see Bo Jiden, sorry,
Bojiden.
coming out here trying to get a flank real quick. Get some hack value here onto someone. We see another rampage from Queen here, going through, hitting lots of targets again, and getting that 4-man. He honestly, with all the bleed, he kept him really alive, kind of just forcing it to be the Junkrat that really kind of just chunked him down.
That's kind of the only piece of the one piece of damage that really threatened the tank. Junkrat just pumps out so much damage in such a small amount of time. It's not much. Like, Queen also can do a bunch of damage. And I guess if you reflect things with Genji, you can get a lot of stuff going.
Exactly.
Junkrat is a menace.
Yeah, there's a lot of burst damage potential on Doane's, on both teams, honestly. But for Junkrat specifically, it's a lot easier to hit that burst damage. It's all condensed into one projectile versus 2 or 3 projectiles in an ability.
And like a combo or something. There's the knife, the extra bit of damage. Queen is very good at poking and prodding and kind of moving you around and dancing around you. Lots of little bits of CC and movement.
We see Saginaw coming out here with the Kitsune being responded to by Coalescence. Like, no one was really able to take advantage, it feels like, almost, because there wasn't a whole lot of... We saw the Lucio get out, but it's kind of it. We see Mora get picked off here by J-Rod. We'd hear from Rard being able to just kind of just hold the part, though. Not really being forced off of it up until this very last moment here.
Gotta respect the play there. Queen is just, if you don't look at the Queen will not die. It's not a character like, what's a good example? Like, you know what? I'm trying to think of a tank that can just
kind of like Horse, almost. Horse just,
yeah.
Horse by herself doesn't really do a whole lot. You kind of,
Yeah.
she just forces attention. So it's like, it's got a moment of where you kind of have to pay attention to the horse. Otherwise, the horse isn't.
It's just gonna kind of slaughter you. Or in this case, carnage you and then knife you and then make you very sad.
Yeah. We see Bo Jiden here barely managing to like translocate her through to the Queen while also avoiding the Genji. We see SVSU here picking up Brar, and they're kind of just up in this high ground room away from everyone else.
I'm getting a tour of the map here. This is crazy. Just getting that extra couple of meters before they have to back up. Hey, that matters. Those extra couple of meters.
Exactly. Those little bits of just like guaranteed meterage just means that that's just that much farther for Doane have to push. And how that like every meter could just mean there's one more team fight you have to win at the end of the game, just to make sure that it happens. And that's why you see here, even though the SVSU's kind of just won the fight and they can kind of just keep up this momentum, we still see people heading back to the block, making sure, hey, we have the opportunity, let's get some more space, let's force them to need to win more fights in order to get back to where they need to be.
And here's the problem with some of these characters. A lot of them have so much mobility. These fights can really spread out fast. While the two teams want to stay together, you can see how they end up like bleeding to different parts of the map, and it can be tough to get a coordinated thing going, especially with like all these flankers like Sombra keeping you on your toes and making you have to take these 1v1s off on a side angle. And that's going to be difficult for Genji because all those targets are spread out. Can't quite find anything that they're looking for. Will end up going down to Bo Jiden, and the team fight will end up moving around.
Exactly. Honestly, I feel like part of that too is they got a very early pick up onto Doane's Queen. Doane's Queen was kind of just like chasing the Lucio almost, and it kind of just forced them too far out of the line of sight from the other supports. Even though like you saw a couple of people kind of joining in the Queen there, trying to like create some forward pressure, SVSU just kind of just 5-man the Queen and just dropped them dead. We see the Kitsune come out though, and along with the Junkrat Tower from Doane, kind of just picking up too, forcing out the SVSU from a lot of space. SVSU, I think, trying to go for the reset or escape if you can, kind of mentality here, knowing...
Boy, the Crispy is still here.
And then there's Crispy, who just defines everything.
Blinds won before going out, hey.
Exactly, and honestly, it was on the Kiri too, so it is a very useful, like, stagger there, because it is a support, meaning that, and while it is kind of, like I said earlier, the Coliseum is kind of condensed together, so it's not terrible for Kiri to be able to switch that back. Just even those few seconds means that like you can get a pick on someone. You could just get a lot of immediate damage that forces them to take a position that they didn't want to be in. Do we see EMP? Do we see EMP?
There it is.
That's
all 5
targets. And the Kitsune coming out, guaranteeing the fight for SVSU.
I know I just talked about these fights getting spread out and taking a while. That was all 5 of Doane died in roughly 3 seconds. That was crazy.
The burst damage potential of a rush comp is incredible, especially when you have EMP online. EMP taking out a guaranteed, I think, like 30% of a health bar. Your current HP, like, not as much as it used to be, but it's still like very large and significant chunk. We see the Queen's kind of trading shouts as the Genji here from SVSU goes into the back. Doesn't quite pick up the Kiri. Yeah, but it does force out the beat though from Lucio relatively early though.
On the swing. The swing finds the Genji. And a couple more kills are going to go Doane's way. They're still going to hang on for this little bit. Well, pretty much one fight left. Just 30 seconds left on the clock. It's going to go overtime. Doane does have control. Saginaw has to back up. That's interesting. How often do you like try to attack an enemy and then an ally gets in the way and you end up healing them? I wonder how often that happens.
I don't know. I feel like it depends on the character almost.
Oh, that's true. Bigger characters are going to eat your heal.
Exactly. And what we do, honestly though, what we do see though, like last fight was huge for Saginaw Valley. Pulling out that beat for now is huge because we see the beat come out from Saginaw here. Gives him so much HP. You see Crispy kind of like playing around with the Deadeye here, meaning that the Cassidy cannot go for it, forcing him to be kind of just dead weight for the team, forcing the 4v5 despite having all 5 members alive. We see Viddy here on point, picking up so many kills. It's just the Junkrat. SVSU does pick up the push map.
Back and forth, but Saginaw takes that one as well. Gonna go 3-0 Saginaw's favor right now. Still one more left to be played. It's the best of 7. But good map. I think I'll say it's a fun map, especially post rework. There's so much more space. There's a lot of different comps that I've seen over the couple of years that this game has been out. We've seen lots of poke, dive, brawl, kind of anything we played on this map, right? That's really cool. I think it's a good map.
Yeah, it's a very versatile map, which makes it very good because it means that a team can play to its strengths. If you're right, like, especially at this level, a lot of people are very much so like jack of all trades almost, where they're really good at a very much so amount of comps. But Coliseo can kind of allow you to just pick a comfort pick and just go with what you're chill with. Especially with the glass gone, it no longer is like the poke character's heaven because you can now actually get through the main part of the map and it's not just a giant corridor for Witter to stand at the other end and you just take pot shots.
Yeah. Or you can't, take up the entire hallway with a Rhine shield and just walk at people. Neither of those. Well, potentially last map or potentially halfway, depending on how the rest of this goes. Stay tuned. We'll take another intermission here. Just let the teams decide what they're going to do. And back for the final one, which will be Flash? No.
Yep.
Yeah, Flashpoint for the last map here. welcome back to round 4 on Flashpoint. New Junk City. Fun map. You want to run us through what Flashpoint is?
Absolutely. For Flashpoint, you start off at your respective spawn points. The farther of the two, because with Flashpoint, because of how the map is spread out, there is a farther spawn point and a closer spawn point for each team. You start at the farther ones, you contest for the center one, and then from there, it is basically a lottery of which of the other 4 points you get to play next. I've labeled this kind of like Flash. I've labeled as 2CP, but arguably a bit more balanced. Flashpoint is low-key just the exact same concept, but like without like a tug of war aspect to it, like you see with Push or Flash. So it's, I don't know. I personally like Flashpoint a lot more. It makes it varied because you're never playing the exact same map rotation. And honestly, we see getting into this now. We do see that Saginaw Valley running the same combo as last map, which is very useful because Flashpoint is very much so about speed.
Yes.
The first to point and the first to set up on points is typically the ones that have an easier time winning a fight.
There's a high ground here? What? Okay. I've learned something new today.
No one uses it because there's no stairway to it, but yeah, it does exist.
Maybe this is because I'm always on Orisa on this map. That's probably why.
I mean, you see them fighting off into the side room, which is ooh, the kill. That's kind of big for Doane here. But we do see a lot of early damage onto the or not the the Juno. Getting
damage back and forth, but it will go Doane's favor. They won't be able to cap the point really quick because they're still dealing with some threats. But Mule finding a couple kills this fight. Biddy with just a little bit of HP left, can't quite clean it up. J-Rod Nasty trying to pull a sneaky and cap the point. Can't quite do it. Doane will take the first one. Switching around, looks like we'll see a Junkrat from Saginaw. Interesting that don't see too much Brigitte. Not nearly as much as you used to. But hey, really useful for keeping off a Genji.
Yeah, and especially useful for Sombra because Sombra can't really break through the Brig shield very well, and having a shield guarantees that you're kind of being able to block a virus. So it's very useful for Doane here to have that Brigade, especially in these kind of more close quarters of New Junk City. Being able to have that Inspire pretty much guaranteed pop. That is an early ultimate, it feels like.
Man.
That is kind of huge for Saginaw, picking off a lot of damage on one, getting a pick on another. Brigade falls, Junkrat falls. Doane kind of trying to salvage with the orbital, but it's kind of just there to keep the tank alive because the tank can no longer he is trying to contest. Just stall out the point as long as possible to guarantee that if there is when there's another fight, if Doane wins that fight, it is a guaranteed cap for Doane.
That is how this differs. I sort of likes to think of it as 2CP. I tend to think of it as control but fast. It's 5 different control points that tick up at about twice the speed. So you get maybe 2 or 3 fights on a point before you have to move over. So that 75% on a control point would guarantee an extra fight. Not so much here. That 25% ticks up real fast.
Exactly. We see the Annihilate come out from Doane here, picking up 2 kills really early. Yeah, the Annihilate kind of just secured the point for Doane, it feels like.
Yeah.
It's just the Genji here with Solo Blade. He is kind of sneaking around, though. Does he try to contest this for Saginaw to come back later? Because they do have the Lucio.
I'm not quite sure. Maybe give it a shot, at least poke around for a second, try to get a kill, can't quite.
Oh, he's using the Lucio. Lucio does touch from underneath. Very crucial for Saginaw because it guarantees that there is an overtime. The fire goes out for the tank. That's huge for Saginaw.
J-Rod finds another, investing a couple more ults. Here's the tire, but goes through and uses the Suzu. Staying alive to this, and Saginaw's actually swinging this back. Here going up the line, finds the kill, and Junkrat breaks down. Just the tank left. How did they do this?
That is huge for Saginaw because with it being kind of constricted down to a much more like a bigger but less lasting speed boost from Juno Ring, they kind of mean that Saginaw almost guarantees either equal or cap percentage here, just because they don't have the Lucio speed buff to be able to contest as quick as the Saginaw did here. We see them going underneath, trying to get that faster route in. Junkrat's
exactly where you want to be, or you want the enemy to be as a Junkrat. Firing that small room is going to do so much damage. Shadowwing's going to be able to finish up a kill there, as well as J-Rod. Tank goes down on point, and Saginaw's actually going to be the one to take this. Not without some difficulties. J-Rod will go down, but they'll cap the first point here. See their score tick up to 1. They got to get up to 3. They're out of 5.
Yeah, and it seems like it's gone a bit closer to Saginaw's spawn point, we've got the factory, as the in-game audio tells us, which is the much more greens, low-key radioactive cap
Oh,
point.
high key radioactive. Oh, it's not even. Oh, there's little ooze. There's green ooze coming out of that thing.
Yeah, we do see. It's definitely like, especially for before point caps, it's a lot more of a poke and just see how it goes. We see Doane getting an early pick off onto the enemy Junkrat here, kind of taking away that mirror opportunity here. It is just Ramatra currently contesting Saginaw on the point. Does he have the support though? Because you see the Doane just kind of spamming the hallway. We see Vinny holding the hallway too. We see Genji going in with the blade, getting one into another. Oh. Saginaw's getting something crucial early point here. We see the Juno getting staggered really far. Does the Juno get out?
The Juno makes it out. The boots goes crazy. A little extra damage. Reflect is such a fun ability. It's like you become a tank for a second. You can stand in the front line as a flanker. That's so cool. Just sitting down. That is a tactical crouch.
Yeah, especially for like characters like Junkrat and Tracer that can kind of thrive on flanks. Just sitting there and being out of line of sight from where most people are sitting, like looking, is kind of crucial. We see the tire come out, picking up the other Junkrat. As we see Doane coming out back again into the corridor to just get some crazy spam potential.
Their Doane's strategy is the same as it was with the dive in getting the tank in, trying to get some space for the rest of the team, but Saginaw isn't giving the Ramatra the time of day. They're not giving it too much attention. They're still focused their aim on the back line. You know, Vidi and maybe one other are dealing with the Ramatra, and Saginaw is just free, especially, you know, the spam damage from Junkrat. Just keep lobbing damage at Doane, and tank doesn't end up getting any value and ends up dying, and they can't find something. They gotta either coordinate together, or, you know, has gotta find some other ways to take attention. It keeps getting caught off guard.
Exactly. We do see here for this next point that they are kind of just like, they started off taking the opposite high grounds, but we see Biddy here trying to just push.
I sell it. I sense it. Oh! Yes!
That almost fell off the high side there, but that jump managed to save it, getting a guaranteed 3 there. Well, there's just so little there. Ramatra pops Annihilate, trying to keep Saginaw off the point, followed up by Orbital from Juno, but the Orbital's going the wrong direction. The Ramatra can't take advantage.
Going off point. Can't quite find it. Ramatra's gonna go down. And Saginaw will start out the 3rd point, getting the timer ticking up. Oh, and Doane's really far away too.
Yeah, Doane's really far away. Really.
Whoa! That's Junkrat. Although also that's Junkrat.
You either see the one-tap combo or the random kill feed. Very.
Switching to the Zarya, kind of a classical, bit of a counter to Junkrat, because you can throw out your bubble and just walk into the spam and get a whole bunch of free charge. You're doing so much damage. Oh, Saginaw really wants to win this fight, investing pretty much all of their ultimates, guaranteeing a whole bunch of space. Vidi finds the first pick. J-Rod's getting really low, but will manage to make it out. Shadow finds one. J-Rod's in the back, finds kill on the mule. Doane's Junk does find one on the way out, but Saginaw all but secures it. That's the... Even though there's only 60% by the end of that fight, you know, now it's up to 2/3. This time, that's the respawn, and the walk back is just so much. Even though they only had half of the point, I don't think Doane's gonna be able to touch. Oh, especially with the tire. Oh, this is
gonna be big.
This is devious. This is evil. There's one, can't quite. Oh, yeah, the speed finds one. Last little remnants back on point. There is a Baptiste window, but not too much heals left.
Yeah, not enough heals. The Baptiste for the got pulled out. The Kiri was just not there. No one could take advantage of the Bap window, and that is just a clean 3-0 victory on Flashpoint for Saginaw Valley. And now
3-0 on Flashpoint, 4-0 for the match.
Exactly.
A good match, back and forth. That's always what you like to see. We always say we want to see a good bout instead of just a stomp here, and we got to see that, especially those first 2 maps, nice and close. That's what you love to see. So Saginaw will end up taking this, going 3rd in this season. Very solid. We take those. Thank you everybody so much from Doane who came by and watched. You guys played great. It was a great game and a fun match to watch. I think that is actually all we have for the season, unless we do Smash. Okay, we will do Smash on Tuesday. Smash Bros team just barely squeezed into nationals, so we'll be spectating them. Come by and watch. Wow, we really lied when we said, that was the end of the season last Friday. Wow, crazy. But that's all we have for tonight till Tuesday. Thank you so much to everybody who came by. It was an absolute blast. Stay safe.
Absolutely. And
Have a good
congrats,
night.
and congrats to Doane on 4.
Congrats to Doane on 4. Both these teams walking away to a very solid placement in the season. Yeah. Life good.
See you on Tuesday.
Have a good night.